Hello and welcome, my deeply depressed pufferfish. How you doing this wonderful day? Super John Bombo here, and today we're talking about the patch notes for Bloons TD6. So first and foremost, checking out the patch notes here, we should note that this is not Update 6.0. This is Update 7.0, so the in-game patch notes are not here. I'm going to go through and check them out for you guys through these links and kind of just talk about them and explain them. The reason why this took so long to actually happen, though, is because I wanted to understand most of the changes and get the cool changes out for you guys up in video form before we got to this patch notes video. So I understand that the update's been out for about a week, but there's so many changes we've got going on here, we have to understand them all. All right, first and foremost, though, there's a lot of big changes right from the get-go that are completely different. First of all, the Jukebox. So if you guys have not activated the Jukebox by now, feel free to activate it. You can go like this. You can click in the little Jukebox area over here, and you can pick which songs you want to end up playing. I think eventually they're going to end up adding some sort of skip mode or something like that in-game, so you can skip to whatever songs you want to play. You know, it's kind of weird that there's only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 songs total, so that's like, you know, not that many overall. Maybe they're going to end up adding some eventually, but you can sort of pick a playlist here. You know, say, I don't like this song. This song sucks. You can, you know, you can add it. You know, you can add them all to the playlist or remove them or whatever you want to do over here to make it work the way you want to do it. All right? Yeah, it's pretty exciting, right? Next, we actually have the new map here. So, showing you guys the new map is Candy Falls. There's nothing special about it. It's actually one of the easiest maps in the game at this point. Maybe even easier than Logs. Just want to throw that out there, man. If you put the positioning in the right spots and everything, it's a pretty easy map. So, maybe we'll do some really cool stuff with this map and, you know, more late-game action or something like that. Also, we've got our new hero here. Well, not new hero skin. We've got Harley Gwen over here. This is the new skin for Gwendolyn. It's supposed to be Harley Quinn, if you guys haven't figured it out by now. She's all jester-like and everything. Looks pretty cute and all that. Pretty fun overall. I don't have anything against it, but I'm a pretty big fan of the scientist Gwendolyn, so I'm probably going to chill with that most of the time, guys. All right, I'm sorry. All right, I like it so much better. Two of the other gigantic changes to the game are going to be the new Door Gunner through the Special Poperations upgrade, the 5th tier heli palette here, and the 5th tier middle path druid as well, Spirit of the Forest. Both of these upgrades are freaking sweet, man. If you guys have not seen them by now, I don't know what you're missing, man. You're missing a lot, all right? They're very cool, very fun additions to the games, and, you know, huge thanks to NinjaCube for developing something like this, because these are just cool. Spirit of the Forest now has the ability to, let's send out a couple balloons here, man. Let's send out something sort of big here, like some BFBs or something like that. Pretty big chunk of them over here. You can see he still does a pretty reasonable amount of damage overall, but then when you click this ability down here, it's going to explode all of the vines and do massive damage to the balloons. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty awesome, and it's kind of cool how it, like, wraps around throughout the vines all the way through the map. Of course, he does have to rebuild his vines here, so not all powerful, but still very powerful and a very cool addition to the game. We also have the Door Gunner ability. So this is going to allow our support Chinook to pick up most 4th tier and less towers here. So things like Arcane Spike and Super Monkeys are going to be pretty good over here. If you want to pick those guys up, you can pick up something like a Sun Avatar or maybe a Bottom Path Dark Champion or something like that. These are all very interesting towers to pick up over here. And just kind of let them do their thing. When you send out a crap ton of BFBs or whatever, it just doesn't matter, man. Oh, Pursuit, that's what we need. Oh, crap, we popped them too fast. We popped them too fast, man. But yeah, there's a great addition to the game here, but it is a Monkey Knowledge upgrade. So let's go back to Monkey Knowledge. So to get those guys unlocked, though, of course, you have to come to the Monkey Knowledge over here. There's 3 new ones. There's the Door Gunner in the military section, costs 1,000 monkey money and requires 14 points. Kind of near the bottom over here, so if you're kind of new to the game, you might not be able to get this guy unlocked just yet, but it is really cool. You've also got the new Vine Rupture here, also costs 500 monkey money in the magic section down here, kind of in the druid area. And you've also got the power section? Yes, the power section, the ambush tech. So this is kind of interesting. The tech bot gains a targeting option to trigger only when balloons enter a specific track area. Honestly, really cool. I enjoy this idea because a lot of times we were using our abilities in sort of stupid times. But now we can wait until exactly when we want to use them, and it's just so much cooler. I really like this idea, and I think, you know, if we're spending monkey money on these things, they should do cool things like this, and I love it. One other change to Monkey Knowledge is the military conscription. You guys have probably seen this by now if you've been paying attention at all, but now instead of getting a half-price military tower right from the get-go, you get a 2/3 cost military monkey, so 33% off. It's pretty solid still. It's still something that we really like in the game, and honestly was something that was a little bit too good in the first place, and I'm glad they kind of nerfed it a little bit to make it a little bit more fair. So military monkeys, or at least the heli pilot, isn't the most powerful tower. Every single game you should start off every time. There's more changes, though! So this isn't even all of them, but fire assets in the game have been changed. And what I mean by assets is just the look of them. They look much, much better. Well, not even much better. They look better overall. I like them. I think they're cool and everything. Not a huge change here, but it's something that we at least need to know. You could look at the village fire. You can look at Gwendolyn's cocktail. It's got a different kind of flame bursty, like, aura to it almost. Looks, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I like it in general. Nothing wrong with it overall. You've got a lot of changes, though, if you actually look at these guys more individually. Let's send out a couple bad balloons here so we make it all the way across. A couple Moabs, a couple DDTs. Why the heck not, man? Just so we get some regular attacks here. You can see the Ring of Fire as well is going to get an asset change that looks a little bit better overall. You can see the Blue Incineration is going to also be able to, look a little bit different here. And then you can also see that this guy also has a different looking attack. So if you look very closely at the attack coming out of this guy, it's going to be like a flaming ball of goo almost. It looks a little bit more, I guess a little bit more realistic, more like a molten ball rather than just like a random fireball shooting out or something like that. Overall, welcome changes to me. Nothing unbelievably amazing, but just looks cool in general. There were a lot of other changes as well to similar towers like this guy and Gwendolyn and the Engineer and the Druids and the Wizards and the Mortar and all that stuff, but generally they're nothing too special, nothing too much to worry about here, and just not worth it to even talk about. So we're going to skip that, and we're going to move on into the balance changes, which I think is probably the most important thing, the thing that you guys want to know about right now. So this is going to be the bulk of the video here, guys. We're talking about all the balance changes and hopefully enough detail for you guys to fully understand them, so when you play them in your game, you can understand that maybe I should be popping down some more Glaive Lords, or maybe using the Inferno Rings more, or maybe even using 5th tier Ices more, or all the other changes to the game here. Almost all of them are buffs, so that's something you should understand here, that we're basically allowing ourselves to use more towers in the game in a much more fair and interesting way. Starting off, the Glaive Lord here. The 3rd tier Glaive Thrower is already going to have an improved pattern of throwing. Don't know exactly what that means, but hopefully it should mean that he's just going to do a generally better job at popping these balloons, and maybe the Glaive will just hop around in the right places and pop more balloons in general. Moving up to the 5th tier, though, this guy is going to have fragments left over by popping these balloons. So let's get rid of this guy for just a quick second here. So let's pop out a bunch of ceramics and a BFB. So you're going to see the, oh man, it's hard to see. You're going to see some, like, weird fragments getting left on top of these balloons that are supposed to do, like, a better job in popping things in general. You kind of see, like, the swirly, whirly, whiffy attacks on this guy kind of all around the place here. Interesting, to say the least. I don't know if it's something that's going to make me want to use the Glaive Lord anymore, but it's something that we definitely need to keep in mind here. It says that basically it leaves fragments that leave up to 150 damage over 15 seconds. So, like, long-term here, man, if we get the Glaive Lord in, like, a random spot over here, and we kind of launch across the screen randomly, again, not sure how well this is going to work, but if we can do this to a random, Moab class balloon over here, this is going to slowly do a ton of damage forever. So it's really, really, really weird to actually use this guy in an effective way. But hey, if you can make that happen, man, more power to you. Leaving him at the end of the map and allowing yourself to attack once at the beginning can really, really affect these balloons long term here. Now we've also got an increase in Moab domination as well. So the Moab domination, that's the bottom path. Boomerang here. It applies a brief stun on the Moab Glaive before knocking it back. So what you're going to see here is if you send out, I don't know, let's send out a couple BFBs really quick. You're going to see that there's a brief stun while kind of sending them back over here. It says a quarter of a second, so it's really not much at all. But it is something that we definitely need to keep in mind over here while we're playing this game. The Moab domination got a slight buff. Okay, coolio. I guess that's fun. So the Inferno Ring got a huge change as well, guys. We're talking about an increase in the overall interestingness of his shot right here. It's not even an ability, it's just his extra shot. This was not originally part of the game. They realized the Inferno Ring wasn't powerful enough because it couldn't defeat bad balloons and such. But now we can do some pretty cool shots over here, and basically it's going to explode on impact. After it goes through enough balloons here, it's going to explode and allow us to do massive damage over here. But the exact damage, whether or not this makes sense to you guys, goes like this. It creates an explosion on impact with a pierce of 10, so pretty good amount of pierce over here, a radius of 18, and does 50 damage. It also applies damage of 50 per second for 4 seconds. So it's got a burn damage. All right, pretty cool. You can see the burn damage going on over there. In fact, what's killing these rainbows is not the Inferno ring itself, but the burn damage. 50 per second. That's pretty awesome, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's pretty cool over here. Definitely going to increase the amount of times that I'm going to be using this Inferno ring, man. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty solid. Some very, very interesting changes to the ice towers here. General big buffs here overall. The first and most important one is it's super weird. The permafrost upgrade can slow down Moabs, but only if they're a 5th tier ice monkey. So the permafrost generally will not work on a Moab. He won't even attack it at all, unless you get it up to, example, a 5th tier over here. Then it will activate on top of a Moab here and slow it down. Permafrost is forever. This is going to help us out a lot, because now we can slow down these balloons forever. This also includes, though, if you get any other ice towers over here. So if you get an Icicle Impale with the permafrost, it's going to make it a much more reasonable cross path to go for here if we slow down these balloons forever, right? But that's not it, guys. There's more. There's more, man. What? So the Ice Shards now has got a pretty good buff over here. Now it can pop 25 balloons per shot instead of 20. We needed that. Ice Shards was a little bit weak over here. Not all that powerful. Not something we really want to use all that often. Not terrible. Don't get me wrong. Usually Arctic Wind or something was probably better. So this is going to help us out quite a bit in kind of popping these balloons. And then once we go to the 4th tier, it's going to give us the ability to remove camo and regen properties from anything we hit as well. So kind of making ourselves almost a support tower instead of a damage doer. Kind of an interesting embrittlement upgrade over here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use him properly, but I think that a lot of people might be able to use him in cool, you know, different ways, especially for challenges or something like that. Like, imagine what you're going to do with this guy. It's going to be really, really weird. Like, nobody's going to expect, oh, Ice Towers, automatic no cam detection, right? Wrong. Now you've got something at the very least. And moving on to the 5th tier over here, we got to talk about the Absolute Zero. So now its attack and ability freeze 2 additional layers. All right. So if you're dealing with big chunky layers over here and you're going to, you know, pop down something like a Boomerang over here in addition, you know, you want to be able to freeze through multiple layers over here. All right, cool. That's what this guy's going to do. In addition to that, though, he's also got the ability to increase this power of all of your other ice monkeys when you activate the ability. So, for example, something like an embrittlement. If you go for like kind of a high ice tower strategy or something like that, this might be worthwhile to say, hey, you know what? There's a lot of freaking BFBs on top of my embrittlement over here. Let's wait until he gets in range. Then you're going to see the speed increase over here when we activate this ability. You're going to see him going to go a little bit faster over here. It's nothing crazy, 50%, you know, for only a few seconds or whatever. It's nothing crazy, but it is going to help us out a little bit, all right? So not only do we slow these guys down, but we can get a crazy amount of awesomeness over here. Generally, just making us a much, much better Ice Tower player. So again, huge buffs, very, very welcome to the game. A new, very welcomed glue change over here. The Glue Storm allows us to do more damage to balloons. Or rather, let me show you. So here we go. We got a bunch of zebras coming out. What we're going to do is we're going to wait. Watch this Dart Monkey, though. He's going to be the key here. We're going to wait just a second. We're going to glue these guys. We're going to re-glue them with our Glue Storm. Now, watch what's going to happen to these zebras. One Dart Monkey shot should pop into blacks, but instead it pops into pinks. So we're doing double damage out of our towers over here. If we already have, you know, 2 damage or 3 damage, we're going to increase it by 1 to 4 or, you know, 3 or 4 or whatever. So, very welcome change from the Glue Strike to me. The issue is that, obviously, if you're going to send out regular balloons over here, watch these guys very quickly, you don't use the Glue Storm aspect of this, it's still going to only pop down 1 layer. So it's not like the 4th tier does it, it's only the ability that affects this change over here. Something to very, very important to keep in mind while using this guy. Abilities, double damage, regular shot, doesn't. Probably one of my favorite changes in the entirety of the game right here, Shrapnel Shot, guys. Check this out. So what you're going to see is that not only do we keep this stun over here, look very, very closely at the ceramic. You're going to see that you're going to see a Shrapnel Shot exploding out kind of behind the balloon over here. So against a single balloon, not going to be all that effective, but against grouped balloons or whatever, might be pretty solid. The thing you definitely have to keep in mind here is that positioning is going to matter. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to position him in a spot that he's going to shoot straight down a line almost. So if we send out a big chunk of reds over here, he's going to shoot the front red and just go through a bunch of these balloons behind him. But as they get a little bit further, you might start to get to the point where these projectiles are going to shoot out the wrong way. They might not hit balloons properly. So positioning for a sniper, usually you don't even think about a battery, but today it will. All right, you've also got to worry about the fact that the full metal jacket, or rather a 3-2, is going to actually increase the damage of our shrapnel shot now. So it does make reasonable sense for our cross path to actually do something here. But at the same time, I gotta say, man, I really been liking my shrapnel shot with the Elite Defender. It's an interesting combo. It almost feels like it shouldn't make sense, but it just does. Hard to explain, but it does. It's just really good. I really like it. But don't forget that the top path isn't bad either. It's not maybe the best or anything like that. Moving on, we've got to talk about the Monkey Buccaneer here. So there's some interesting changes here. Very welcome buffs to the Monkey Buccaneer. First and foremost, you have to understand that the 2-1 is going to shoot out 2 times as many grapes. If you look very closely at the grapes, you know, you're supposed to shoot out, I think, 5, and now we're shooting out 10. Very awesome amount of popping power over here. You get the double dose of darts here, but you also get the double dose of grape shot. Going to make this guy a much better tower. And don't forget, he can shoot out multiple directions as well. So if we've got balloons on all sides of us here, if I send out a crap ton of zebras over here, he's going to shoot out double doses of double grapes. It's going to really increase your popping power here. And in fact, it looks pretty awesome if you ask me. Moving on to Destroyer, though, it's going to do the same thing, man. We got double grape shots over here, so increasing the popping power over Destroyer as well. One of the key / best upgrades in the entire game used to be going for an alchemized Destroyer. They nerfed the Alchemist to make the Destroyer not quite as powerful, and now I think they're kind of coming back and saying, well, this is the rebuff that's going to make us just a little bit better over here. So definitely welcome change to this guy. I can see myself using Destroyers and or just 2-1 boats a lot more these days. This is one thing that I'm actually not entirely sure about. If you guys want to correct me in the comments below, feel free. This is one of those things that I just wish I understood better, but it's mostly just numbers to me. And I'm not 100% sure, and through my tests, it doesn't necessarily prove it either which way. But from my understanding, what they're doing is they're, I would almost call it buffing / nerfing. It's like a balancing, I guess. They're balancing the fighter plane, Operation Dartstorm, and all the way up to the Sky Shredder over here. And the way they're doing this is by making it so, again, as far as I understand, instead of just popping 1 Moab at a time, now you can pop more Moabs at a time, 3 for the fighter, 4 for the Operation Dartstorm, and 5 for the Sky Shredder. But it's going to do less damage and shoot slower. So it's going to be worse against a single Moab, but better against a grouped Moab. For example, if I set out 4 Moabs over here, we should be able to do group damage to these guys. In fact, I should probably send them out with a spacing here, just so we can kind of see what's going on. As the missiles are shooting out against these guys, we're doing grouped damage to these Moabs. Overall, group damage. There we go. And we're going to pop all these guys at once, which, like I said, if I'm doing this correctly, it didn't used to do that. It used to only pop 1 Moab at a time, and now it's doing multiple. Is that beneficial? It's a weird balancing aspect. You know, it's like it's going to be a little bit worse against round 40, but it's going to be a little bit better against grouped Moabs higher up in the game here. So if that's something that we were worried about before, well, it's going to help us out. But keep in mind, it does 3 for this guy, 4 for this guy, and 5 for this guy, but it is decreasing the amount of missiles that we shoot out, basically. So a weird balancing aspect here. You guys can let me know if you think that it's better or worse. I personally think it's going to be overall better for our top path monkey aces, but going to be different as well, because now we're popping more Moabs at once, and we might have a harder time dealing with the Bloons. Where popping 1 at a time before was actually kind of nice, gave us more time to work with almost. As weird as that sounds, that's just kind of how it works in my brain. Heli pallet price increase, $100, not big, but it is something. The Mortar's got some really interesting changes here. I don't know how I feel about them, but overall going to be a much more useful tower, I think. So they changed heavy shells now, so heavy shells are going to do extra damage to stunned balloons. So what you're probably going to want to do is do something like Shell Shock that stuns the balloons with Rapid Reload or something like that in combination with a Heavy Shells upgrade. And if you get those guys combined together, and or maybe pop it in with a flash bomb or something like that, you might be able to do a crap ton of damage to these Bloons. It's a really interesting concept here. I'm not sure how effective it's going to be, but it's at the very least interesting. I like it. You know, I think it's cool. I think it's sort of fun to play around with maybe using double or triple mortars or something like that in an effective way. In addition, the 5th tier Pop and Awe is going to do plus 10 damage to stunned Bloons. So you're going to want to get those Bloons stunned. However you want to stun them, I don't care. But get those Bloons stunned and then pop the crap out of them with Pop and Awe. This is going to extra help out when we use our ability here. For example, we sent out a crap ton of ceramics here again. You can see we really can't do all that much damage to them. Well, Pop and Awe instantaneously kills them all, so I guess that doesn't really help us out too much, does it? Anyways, going to make it very interesting here with Pop and Awe to do extra damage to stun Bloons and all that awesome stuff over here, alright? Definitely welcome changes as far as the mortar is concerned. Very quick, Unstable Concoction is going to give you extra damage, an overall damage increase all the way up until around 150. It's going to scale up to 150. Haven't tested it out. Cannot tell you if you guys think this is a good or a bad idea right now. I don't feel like testing it, so go ahead and have fun with it and see how well it works for you in real games. But generally, Unstable Concoction as part of your team is a great addition. It can help out a lot against the big beefy levels like round 98 or even 99 or 96, 95. All those rounds around there besides probably 99 and 100. Unstable Concoction is beastly. Trust me on that. A weird change to the banana farms here. I've talked about this in one of my previous videos. Getting Central Market gives your merchantmen plus 10% income, but it can combine up to 10 times here, and you can get double the income that you would get out of your merchantmen using these guys, and if you combine that with 20 other merchantmen with a 5th tier favorite trades, you end up making ridiculous amounts of money, guys. Ridiculous amounts of money. Really quick Monkey Village change here, guys. Nothing too fancy or anything like that, but we are dealing with primary trading, basically. When you get a 4th tier primary mentoring, it used to not do anything, but now you get a slight increase in range. So you're going to notice this guy right here, see his range is going to go, just past this little line right here. When we get the 4th tier, it's going to go all the way up over here. So nothing crazy, but it's going to increase your range just a little bit here, as well as increasing ability cooldowns by 10%. So the Super Monkey Fan Club now, or weird abilities like that, definitely going to be, increased pretty drastically. I think the main one for me, though, is probably going to be something like a, 5th tier permacharge, something like that, maybe with glaives, and just own things with this thing. And or, if you're really worried about the bad balloon, getting an extra 10% buff on Mobile Eliminator might be awesome. In fact, this combo right here, great addition to your team, man. Going to help out a lot, even on things like chimps. They really will do a great job here. Also, Monkey City. Now, this is a very, very interesting change here, guys. Monkey City, down here, a 4th tier upgrade is going to increase all income generated from towers within the radius by 10%. So if you get a Monkey City in range of some really high-level farms and stuff like that, you can be making bank over here. It's really weird. Almost doesn't make sense, but all right, I accept it. If you want to have me make extra money, I'm down. And the last change that I'm not going to show you is Open Greenfoot got a slight buff on his wall of trees here. Basically, it allows it to increase its range a tiny bit and suck up more Bloons. So a little bit helpful, but nothing crazy here, guys. That's all I've got for you guys today. Of course, if you enjoyed this wonderful, wonderful patch notes video, please press that like button for me. I'd appreciate it a bunch. Subscribe if you haven't. And of course, have a super duper delicious day.